Hey everyone, Black Cat Loner here, and welcome to episode 2 of One Lone Cat Podcast. And boy, have we got a show for you today. And also today, I figure I'd share a couple short stories I wrote for my Still in Development short story collection, named for this podcast. As many of you already know, this year marks the release of the sequel to the 2019 classic film Joker, called Joker: Folie à Deux. Not sure if I pronounced that correctly, so I'm just going to call it Joker 2, especially since I didn't take French in high school. This movie is different from all other comic book movies because Joker 2 is going to be a musical. Well, so far it doesn't look so bad. I know a lot of the critical reception has been largely positive for this, but there's a lot of mixed reception, especially on the part of Lady Gaga. And I can get that, because I'm not really a fan of Gaga, especially in the light of recent events. But it does look like it's an interesting movie. I mean, they're still hiding the fact that it's a musical. So yeah, it comes out in October, so probably by then I'll decide whether to go see it in theaters or pre-order it. I mean, I did initially want to go see Joker in theaters back in 2019, but I didn't have the money at the time. So I ended up pre-ordering it, and actually I loved it. It's in my top 3 all-time favorite movies. So we'll just have to wait and see. But so far, I kind of do like this teaser trailer. So what do you guys think? Also of note is that this past Saturday marked the 40th anniversary of my favorite film in the Friday the 13th movie franchise, Friday the 13th. Spoiler alert, not the final chapter. The film whose review by Siskel and Ebert led to the creation of one of my favorite fellow internet reviewers, The Cinema Snob. This is also the one with the most likable cast in the whole franchise, including Corey Feldman, 2 months before Gremlins, and Crispin Glover, 1 year before he played George McFly in Back to the Future. And how can you forget these dance moves? Don't think you got it made, no. Also among Jason's victim in this movie, Gary from Last American Virgin. And like I said in my very popular review of said movie, he doesn't get laid in this movie. Man, so many movies celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. Temple of Doom, Star Trek 3, the original Ghostbusters, the original Gremlins, the original Beverly Hills Cop, the original Karate Kid. I could go on. In fact, I did see 2 of those movies on the list in theaters, Star Trek 3 and Gremlins. And at least 3 of the movies I listed are getting new movies this year. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is already in theaters, but I'm going to have to pre-order it for streaming. The very long-awaited Beverly Hills Cop 4 is coming to Netflix in July. And there's another Karate Kid movie coming out at Christmas, which will pair Ralph Macchio, who is playing Daniel, with Jackie Chan from the 2010 remake. Whether or not it will connect to Cobra Kai is anyone's guess, and I still don't know when we're getting Cobra Kai Season 6. It's supposed to be out later this year, but I'm hoping it comes out before the movie does. So after this quick commercial break, I will start reading a couple of short stories. By the way, not sponsored, it's a vintage commercial. Okay, I guess we can check in on boring Colt 45 guy. Oh boy, a tree almost fell on me, but I don't give a shit, I'm so bored. I'm on LSD, because it looks like I'm getting shot by Robin Hood.
Colt 45 malt liquor. A completely unique experience.
Cheerio, old men. You may recall from episode 2 of Tales of the Black Cat, I revealed that I was in the process of creating a short story compilation book called One Lone Cat. That was before I decided on using the name for the podcast. I mean, I'm still calling the compilation book One Lone Cat, but still. Like I mentioned numerous times, I originally planned to be a writer before my life on the internet began. However, recently I began to do some writing towards the end of last year. And during my recovery from my recent hospital stay, I managed to post several short stories to my blog site, which can be found on my blog site at blackcatloner.wordpress.com, including 2 I'm going to read to you today. You know, for content, as the kiddies on the internet say nowadays. Many of the short stories that will be featured in the One Lone Cat compilation are fictional accounts that are based very loosely on my life. One of the most notable aspects are that the protagonists of each story are nameless and are told in the first person. Some stories, most notably in the case of the first story I'm about to tell you, are based on an event in my life, and there are some cases of what-ifs in each story. In this case, this is a story that takes place during my time on YouTube. So sit back and get comfortable and listen to your friendly neighborhood Black Cat Loner tell the story I like to call The Subscriber. I have always been passionate about movies and sharing my thoughts on them. So I started a YouTube channel where I review movies for my followers. I went by the username Black Cat Loner, and I used an animated cat avatar instead of appearing in the flesh. Little did I know this would become my full-time job, and I would gain a huge following. To be honest, I wasn't really planning to do YouTube videos, but rather be a writer. But the lure of reaching a wide audience was so great that I decided to try it. It was rough in the beginning, especially since video cameras cost money, not to mention editing software, but in the end it was all worth it. One day I decided to review a really bad movie from the 80s that had a reputation for being a pretty bad movie that back in its day was ravaged by critics, yet it gained a cult following. I decided to watch Love in a Dumpster. I heard from prior online critics how bad it was, and the film had no redeemable value at all. So I decided to check it out for myself. As the credits began to roll, I felt a strange sense of relief wash over me. Despite its abysmal 0% Rotten Tomatoes score, I had somehow found solace in the film's sheer badness. It was as if the director had intentionally crafted a cinematic disaster, and I was grateful for the unintentional comedy it provided. Little did I know that my admiration for this so-called quote-unquote masterpiece would lead to an unlikely connection with a fan who would change my life forever. "Avoid this movie like the plague!" I shouted as I was recording this review. "This movie sucks!" After a few hours of editing and rendering the video, I uploaded to YouTube the next day, and almost immediately the views started racking up. My eyes wandered to the comments section, as they often did, searching for someone to share my twisted admiration for this film, and there she was. Among the sea of hate-filled rants and sarcastic remarks, a lone comment that seems to understand the beauty of the film's failures. Her username was FilmEnthusiast69, and her comment read, "I give this film a solid 10 out of 10. It's so bad it's good." As I was uploading my latest movie review, I noticed a new comment from a user named FilmEnthusiast69. "Your review of Love in a Dumpster had me cracking up. Finally, someone who gets how terrible that movie is." I chuckled and replied, "Glad you enjoyed it. That movie was a dumpster fire, no pun intended." Before I knew it, FilmEnthusiast69 became a regular commenter on my videos, always adding insightful thoughts and funny remarks. Our banter was filled with shared laughter and sarcastic jabs at the worst movies. It was like having my own personal witty co-host. I couldn't help but feel a sense of kinship with her. Despite the anonymity of the internet, I felt a connection to this mysterious individual who had seen the same things in the film that I had. I couldn't help but wonder what she looked like, what her life was like, and if she would ever respond to my comment, which simply read, "I couldn't agree more." Eventually, she started flooding my comment section with more facts about the movie, sprinkled with her own comments. I let her comment on it. It was her favorite review. And it was an added bonus to her that I uploaded the Love in the Dumpster review on her birthday. One evening, a private message popped up on Instagram. "Hey, Black Cat Loner. I've always appreciated your humor and honesty when it comes to movies. Maybe we can chat more about films sometime? My name is Emily, by the way." I felt a rush of excitement and replied, "Absolutely. I'd love to talk movies with you." I couldn't believe my luck. I responded immediately, sharing my real name and contact information. In short, I was breaking an unwritten YouTube rule about becoming too involved with a fan. To my surprise, she did the same. In fact, she seemed just as excited as I was to continue our conversation. We talked for hours on the phone, bonding over our shared love of terrible movies and our fascination with the art of creating something so intentionally bad. Soon our private chats turned into video calls, and our shared passion for cinema evolved into something more. We both confessed our feelings, and from that moment, we knew we were meant to be more than just online friends. Months later, we finally met in person at a movie convention. We began meeting up at midnight screenings of movies we knew would be bad, laughing hysterically at the incompetent acting and poorly written dialogue. Eventually, we even started collaborating on film projects of our own. Emily's passion for filmmaking was infectious, and her unique perspective on storytelling helped me grow as a content creator. One day, out of the blue, Emily confessed her feelings for me. At first, I was taken aback. I had never considered her in a romantic light before. But as she spoke, I began to understand the depths of her feelings. Despite our initial connection over a bad movie, there was so much more to our relationship than that. We shared a love for the art of filmmaking, a twisted sense of humor, and a desire to create something truly unique and special. Eventually, I found myself returning her feelings. We began dating, and our creative partnership only intensified. Together, we made films that were truly unlike anything else out there. They weren't for everyone, but for those who understood our vision, they were nothing short of brilliant. And through it all, Emily remained by my side, supporting me every step of the way. As I held her hand, I realized that the love we found through our shared interest in terrible films was the best plot twist I could have ever imagined. Now, years later, we made a name for ourselves in the indie film scene. Our movies are celebrated by a dedicated fan base who appreciate our unique take on filmmaking. And even though we moved past our shared obsession with bad movies, the connection we formed over that faithful screening will always be a part of our story. Because sometimes the most unlikely of connections can lead to the most beautiful of relationships. Like I said before, the short stories I am writing are fictional accounts based loosely on my real life, so any resemblance to anyone specific is purely coincidental. That being said, hope you enjoyed The Subscriber, and now I'm going to tell the other short story I have planned for this week's episode. And I'm going to start this off by saying that it's been almost 2 decades since I started in social media. And the next short story is a fictional account of when I started blogging. I know that the first episode of Tales of the Black Cat is in fact an origin story for me, but you know what? So is this. In fact, this short story is a prequel story to the first episode of Tales of the Black Cat, which I called Social Media Stranger. In this case, this is the lead-in story to my short story compilation, which I like to call One Lone Cat. I am the one lone cat against a big bad world. I've always been a bit of a loner, preferring to spend my time in the comfort of my own home rather than socializing with others. Primarily because I had been socially isolated growing up. In fact, I've never been out on a date before, let alone a relationship. Not only that, but I cannot drive because I never had the time to learn, and that can also be my Achilles heel when it comes to women. As I grew older, this trait only intensified, and I found myself becoming more and more isolated from the outside world. So I figure I'd try this out as a sort of typical getting to know me sort of thing. As I sit in front of my computer staring at the blank page before me and surrounded by stacks of dusty VHS tapes and DVDs, as well as a life's worth of forgotten memories, I can't help but feel a sense of nervous excitement as well as a sudden surge of inspiration. It's as if the computer screen is beckoning me to share a piece of myself with the world. And so I've decided to start this journey into this world of blogging. Now, before we go any further with this first entry, allow me to introduce myself. Since I can't reveal my real name for reasons, you can call me Black Cat Loner. The name is defined as one lone cat against a big bad world. The name is influenced by the fact that I had a black cat, and of course, as I said earlier, I was a loner by nature. Plus, you could say that the black cat is my spirit animal. But wait a minute. Aren't black cats supposed to be bad luck? Well, it would be true, but I'd have to call you racist for saying that, because in some cultures, black cats are actually considered good luck and are actually considered loyal. But enough about me. Now I know what you're going to ask next. Why am I doing this? The idea of being able to share my thoughts and opinions with a vast audience without ever having to leave my house is incredibly appealing to me. Especially since I always wanted to be a writer, dating back to when I was a wee kitten in elementary school. Even before the internet, I was writing novels, including one in high school which I never published. I was in the process of writing at least a few more novels and short stories, but life got in the way. And I kind of put my writing on hold. Until now. Without this sounding too much like a dating profile, my hobbies include movies, writing, and working out. My love for movies dates back to my childhood, where I would spend countless hours lost in the worlds the movies provided. It didn't matter if it was a B-movie or a critically acclaimed masterpiece. Every film had the power to transport me to new and exciting places. With this new blog, I wanted to be a place where I can share some thoughts on the latest films to hit the big screen, and share my adventures with the world. Of course, you never know what happens whenever you walk out the door, especially if you're me. And if something exciting happens to me, you can guarantee I will post it in here. What can I say? Blogging comes natural to me. And with those words, I ended my first blog entry. And soon I could not get enough of blogging. I began to refer to myself as Black Cat Loner, and my readers were intrigued by the mysterious online content creator. They wanted to know more about the person behind the blog, but I remained elusive. I would only share bits and pieces of my life, carefully choosing what to reveal and what to keep hidden. As my blog continued to gain traction, I found myself becoming more and more consumed by it. I spent every waking moment writing, editing, and promoting my content. I even started to neglect my personal life, or lack of a personal life in my case, but I didn't mind. My blog was my escape, my safe haven. But as with everything in life, there are always consequences. My anonymity gave me the freedom to express myself without fear of judgment, but also came with a price. I started receiving what we on the internet call hater comments from people who didn't agree with my opinions and very likely didn't do anything with their lives. At first, I shrugged it off, but as the attacks became more frequent and vicious, I couldn't help but feel the weight of it all. I started to question my decision to even start this blog. Was it worth it? Was the fame and success worth the constant criticism and hate? But then I remembered why I started this blog in the first place: to share my thoughts and passions with the world. I couldn't let a few negative comments bring me down. And so I continued to pour my heart and soul into my blog, but I also started to take precautions. I became more careful about what I shared online and made sure to keep my personal life separate from my online persona. But despite my efforts, I couldn't shake off the feeling of paranoia and vulnerability. However, as time went on, I realized that the hate only made me stronger. It pushed me to improve my content and to stay true to myself. And most importantly, it made me appreciate the support and love I received from my loyal readers even more. As my blog reached new heights, I also started to venture into other forms of online content creation, mainly videos and podcasts. And before you knew it, I branched out to YouTube and many other sites. I was no longer just Black Cat Loner, the mysterious online blogger, but now I was Black Cat Loner, the mysterious multifaceted creator with a loyal fan base. Looking back, I never would have imagined that my decision to start a blog would lead me down this path. Offline, not much has changed. I'm still a loner, but now I have a community of like-minded individuals who support and understand me. And as for my identity, well, that will forever remain a mystery. But does it really matter? As long as I have my blog and my readers, that's all that truly matters to me. At the end of the day, I am still the cat who walks by himself. The end. Hope you enjoyed the 2 short stories I've told today, and I'm sure I will be telling you more in the future, depending on how content is. I mean, not too much happened this week except O.J. Simpson died last weekend. You know, good riddance. And on that note, I'm going to call it a day here at One Lone Cat Podcast. So, thanks for watching and listening to the podcast. I'm Black Cat Loner, and I will see you next time. Same Black Cat time, same Black Cat channel.